Welcome to back my channel Coin Worth Million. This channel is a special place where every video brings you new knowledge, entertainment, and exciting experiences. Here Coins Worth you will find informative content, engaging stories, and everything that sparks your curiosity. Our goal is to make every moment enjoyable, help you learn something new, and be a part of this growing family. So join us and start this wonderful journey today. The 1957 United States of America 1-cent coin, commonly known as the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, is one of the final regular issue wheat cents produced by the United States Mint before the historic design change in 1959, and it represents an important transitional period in American numismatic, economic, and cultural history. This coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure such as Liberty. The obverse of the 1957 1-cent coin displays the iconic right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," along the top edge, "Liberty," to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date, 1957, to the right, while some coins also carry a mint mark, D, below the date indicating production at the Denver Mint, whereas coins without a mint mark were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse side features the famous wheat ears design, consisting of two stylized wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, above, symbolizing unity among the states, and this reverse design, used from 1909 to 1958, reflects America's strong agricultural identity during the early and mid-20th century. The 1957 penny was struck in very large quantities, with approximately 1,051,342,000 coins minted in Philadelphia and about 1,051,345,000 coins minted in Denver, resulting in a combined mintage exceeding 2 billion coins, which explains why this coin is still commonly found in circulated condition today and remains affordable for collectors, though high-grade uncirculated examples and specially preserved pieces can command higher premiums. The composition of the 1957 Lincoln cent is 95% copper and 5% zinc, a traditional bronze alloy that had been standard for U.S. cents for decades, giving the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color when new, which gradually tones to brown over time depending on storage and environmental conditions. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and features a plain edge, making it physically identical to most Lincoln wheat cents of the era. From a historical perspective, the year 1957 places this coin firmly in the post-World War II, Cold War era, during the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower, a time when the United States was experiencing rapid economic growth, suburban expansion, industrial development, and increasing global influence, and the penny circulated widely in everyday commerce, being used by ordinary Americans to buy newspapers, candy, stamps, and basic household items at a time when 1 cent still had meaningful purchasing power. The 1957 wheat penny also reflects the end of an era in American coin design, as the following year, 1958, would be the final year of the wheat reverse, and in 1959 the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial design to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, making the 1957 penny one of the last widely circulating examples of a design that had become deeply ingrained in American daily life. In numismatic terms, the 1957 1-cent coin is considered common. But it remains highly collectible due to its historical significance, classic design, and copper composition, and collectors often seek examples in different conditions such as brown (BN), red-brown (RB), and full red (RD), with fully red uncirculated coins being the most desirable and valuable because they retain much of their original mint luster. While no major dramatic errors are commonly associated with the 1957 penny, minor varieties such as die cracks, die chips, repunched mint marks RPMs on some Denver issues, and weak strikes can add interest and modest value for variety collectors. Today, The 1957 Lincoln Wheat cent serves not only as a collectible coin but also as a tangible historical artifact that connects modern collectors to mid-20th century America, reflecting the nation's economic confidence, traditional values, and respect for its past, and it continues to be widely studied, collected, and appreciated by beginners and advanced numismatists alike, making it an enduring symbol of American coinage history and one of the most recognizable small-denomination coins ever produced by the United States Mint. Next coin, the 1955 United States 1-cent coin, widely known as the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, holds a special and almost legendary place in American numismatic history because it represents both a standard circulating issue and one of the most famous minting errors ever produced by the U.S. Mint, making it a coin that attracts casual collectors, serious numismatists, historians, and even people who simply enjoy rare stories from everyday objects. And to fully understand the importance of the 1955 cent, it is necessary to examine its historical background, design origins, metal composition, minting process, varieties, circulation role, cultural impact, and long-term collector value in great depth. The coin belongs to the Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure such as Liberty, and by 1955, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly half a century, serving as the backbone of everyday commerce in the United States during periods of massive change including 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the early Cold War era. The obverse front of the 1955 cent features the familiar right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," along the top rim, "Liberty," to the left of Lincoln, and the date, 1955, to the right, while the designer's initials, VDB, appear subtly on later issues at the base of Lincoln's shoulder, reflecting Brenner's lasting artistic contribution to American coinage. The reverse back displays the iconic wheat ears design, which consists of 2 curved wheat stalks framing the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E pluribus unum, arching across the top, symbolizing agricultural abundance, national unity, and the importance of farming to the American economy, which was especially meaningful during the mid-20th century when the United States was transitioning from a largely agricultural society to an industrial and suburban nation. The metal composition of the 1955 cent is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving the coin its classic reddish-brown appearance when new, a composition that had been standard for most Lincoln cents except during wartime changes such as the steel cents of 1943. And the coin has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of 3.11 grams, and a plain edge, specifications that allowed it to function reliably in vending machines, cash registers, and daily transactions. The 1955 cent was struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not use a mint mark, meaning most normal 1955 pennies show no mint mark, and a smaller number were also struck at the Denver Mint, identified by a D mint mark, with total mintages numbering in the hundreds of millions, reflecting the enormous demand for low-denomination coinage in a rapidly growing post-World War II economy marked by rising consumer spending, suburban expansion, and population growth. However, what truly sets the 1955 cent apart from all others is the existence of the 1955 double die obverse, a dramatic mint error caused during the hubbing process when the coin die received a misaligned second impression, resulting in very strong and visible doubling on the inscriptions, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 1955, making the doubling so bold that it can often be seen clearly without magnification, unlike many minor double dies that require a microscope to identify, and this error occurred because the die was not properly aligned between hub impressions, a mistake that went unnoticed and allowed thousands of double die coins to enter circulation, primarily through cigarette vending machines, which explains why many early discoveries were found by smokers and shopkeepers rather than professional collectors. At the time of release, these double die pennies were treated as curiosities, sometimes rejected by banks or spent at face value, but as awareness spread, collectors quickly recognized their rarity and significance, transforming the 1955 double-die obverse cent into one of the most famous and valuable error coins in U.S. history. In contrast, normal 1955 cents without doubling remain common and are generally worth modest amounts depending on condition, while 1955D cents are scarcer than Philadelphia issues but still accessible to collectors. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value, with circulated examples showing wear on Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks, while uncirculated pieces retain sharp details and original mint luster. And color classification, red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN, is especially important for copper coins, as original red color significantly increases desirability and market price. Historically, the year 1955 sits within the Eisenhower era, a time of relative prosperity and optimism in the United States, and the penny from this year quietly witnessed everyday life events such as grocery shopping, school lunches, newspaper purchases, and the early days of rock and roll culture, making it a tangible artifact of mid-century American life. The Wheat Penny series itself ended in 1958, just 3 years after the 1955 issue, when the reverse design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial in 1959, meaning the 1955 cent represents one of the final chapters of the beloved wheat design that many collectors view as more artistic and traditional than later styles. Today, the 1955 1-cent coin is studied extensively in numismatic literature, collected worldwide, and often serves as a gateway coin that introduces new collectors to the fascinating world of mint errors, die varieties, and historical research. And whether in its common form or the legendary double die variety, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny stands as a powerful reminder that even the smallest denomination can carry immense historical, artistic, and monetary significance, transforming a simple copper coin into one of the most iconic and talked about pieces in the entire history of United States coinage. The 1958 1-cent coin of the United States of America, widely known as the Lincoln Wheat Penny, represents the final chapter of one of the most beloved and historically significant small denomination coin series in U.S. numismatic history, struck during a period of post-World War II stability and economic growth, and it stands as the last regular issue cent to feature the classic wheat ears reverse design before the monumental transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959, making the 1958 cent especially meaningful to collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike, because it symbolizes both an ending and a bridge between eras in American coinage. This coin was produced under the authority of the United States Mint during the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower, at a time when America was asserting itself as a global superpower while simultaneously experiencing rapid suburbanization, industrial expansion, and technological optimism, all of which form the broader historical backdrop against which this modest copper coin circulated in the daily lives of millions of Americans. The obverse of the 1958 cent features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, appear subtly on the shoulder truncation, a detail that had once caused controversy in 1909 but by 1958 had long been accepted as part of the design's artistic integrity, and Lincoln's image on the cent was historically groundbreaking, as it marked the first time a real person, rather than a symbolic figure, appeared on a regularly circulating U.S. coin, a tradition that would later become standard across American coinage. The inscriptions on the obverse include, "In God We Trust," above Lincoln's head, reflecting the nation's religious sentiment and moral ideals, "Liberty," to the left, symbolizing foundational American values, and the date, 1958, to the right, clearly identifying the final year of the wheat cent design. The reverse of the coin displays two stylized wheat ears curving inward along the left and right edges, symbolizing agricultural prosperity, abundance, and the agrarian roots of the United States, with the denomination, 1 cent, boldly centered, United States of America, above it, and the national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, placed across the top, reinforcing the theme of unity that was especially resonant during the Cold War era when national identity and cohesion were emphasized. The 1958 cent was struck in two primary mint locations, Philadelphia, no mintmark, and Denver, D mintmark, with the Philadelphia Mint producing approximately 252,525,000 coins and the Denver Mint producing approximately 800,953,300 coins, resulting in a combined mintage of over 1 billion cents, which reflects both the massive demand for small change in a growing consumer economy and the cent's role as the backbone of everyday commerce, used for newspapers, candy, postage, and countless small transactions. Compositionally, the 1958 cent is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, giving it a theoretical weight of 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, with a plain edge, and this high copper content gives the coin its warm reddish color when new, which gradually tones to brown over decades of circulation and environmental exposure, making color classification red, red-brown, brown an important factor in numismatic grading and value. From a technical standpoint, the 1958 cent was struck using dies prepared with refined hubbing techniques compared to earlier decades, resulting in generally strong strikes, though collectors still examine details such as Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, as well as the wheat lines on the reverse, to assess strike quality and wear. In terms of varieties and errors, the 1958 cent is especially famous for one of the most legendary and rare error coins in American numismatics, the 1958 double die obverse DDO, an extreme and dramatic doubling visible on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, caused by a misalignment during the die creation process, and although only a very small number of genuine examples are known to exist, this error has achieved near mythical status among collectors, with authenticated specimens selling for extremely high prices, often reaching six figures at auction, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cent errors ever discovered. Aside from this major rarity, minor die cracks, repunch mint marks RPMs on Denver issues, and other small anomalies are also studied by specialists who enjoy the technical side of die diagnostics and production flaws. In everyday circulation, the 1958 cent served quietly and efficiently, passing through the hands of children, shopkeepers, factory workers, and families during a time when the cent still had meaningful purchasing power, and its widespread use means that worn examples are still commonly found today in old collections, inherited jars, and bulk wheat cent rolls. From a grading and value perspective, most circulated 1958 cents are modestly valued, especially those graded good to very fine, but uncirculated examples, particularly those retaining full red color and sharp details, command higher premiums, with Denver mint issues being plentiful but still desirable in high grades due to their strong strikes, while Philadelphia issues attract attention for their slightly lower mintage and association with the rare double die variety. Historically, the significance of the 1958 cent is amplified by what followed immediately after, as 1959 marked the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and introduced Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial Reverse, ending the 50-year run of the wheat design that began in 1909, and thus the 1958 cent stands as the last representative of a half-century of American monetary tradition that spanned world wars, economic depressions, and profound social change. Culturally and emotionally, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds a nostalgic place in American memory, often associated with childhood coin collections, school projects, and the simple thrill of finding an old penny in pocket change, and for collectors around the world, including those outside the United States, it represents an accessible yet historically rich artifact that connects personal collecting experiences with the broader narrative of American history. In summary, the 1 cent United States of America 1958 coin is far more than a small copper disc, as it encapsulates the end of a classic design era, reflects the economic realities and cultural values of late 1950s America, offers fascinating study opportunities through its varieties and legendary errors, and continues to captivate collectors due to its historical importance, aesthetic simplicity, and symbolic role as the final Lincoln Wheat Penny ever issued for general circulation. The 1956 United States of America 1 cent coin, commonly known as the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny, represents a deeply important and historically rich chapter in American numismatics, reflecting the political stability, economic growth, cultural confidence, and artistic traditions of the mid-20th century United States, a time when America was firmly establishing itself as a global superpower during the Cold War era, and this small copper coin silently circulated through the hands of millions of citizens while witnessing monumental changes in society, technology, and International Relations, minted during the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower, a former Supreme Allied commander in World War II. The 1956 cent belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat series that was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure, and by 1956 the Lincoln design had already become a powerful national symbol associated with unity, honesty, sacrifice, and democratic values. The obverse of the 1956 1-cent features Victor David Brenner's iconic right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the year, 1956, to the right, while the reverse displays the traditional two wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E pluribus unum, above, symbolizing unity among the states, a design that would remain in use until 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. The coin was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a rich reddish-brown appearance when new, with a weight of 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge, characteristics that made it familiar and practical for everyday commerce, especially in an era when small denominations still had significant purchasing power. The 1956 cent was produced at 3 United States mint facilities: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D Mint Mark, and San Francisco, S Mint Mark, with total mintages reflecting strong economic activity and population growth, as the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 420,745,000 coins. The Denver Mint produced around 1,098,201,100 coins, making the 1956 D one of the highest mintage wheat pennies in history, and the San Francisco Mint contributed about 44,405,000 coins, which are comparatively scarcer and more sought after by collectors today. Despite the extremely high mintages, especially from Denver, the 1956 cent holds enduring value in American numismatics because it marks the final years of the wheat penny era, representing the closing chapter of a design that had accompanied Americans through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the early Cold War. From a historical perspective, the year 1956 was significant for the United States as it was a time of suburban expansion, automobile culture, television becoming a household staple, the construction of the interstate highway system, and growing tensions with the Soviet Union, and the humble 1-cent coin circulated quietly amid these transformative developments, used by families for groceries, children for candy, and businesses for daily transactions. In terms of collectability, most 1956 pennies are common in circulated condition, but examples in high mint state grades Mississippi 65 and above, particularly those with full original luster and minimal marks, command strong premiums, while proof coins, struck exclusively at the Philadelphia Mint for collectors, feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices and are especially prized when preserved in pristine condition. Error varieties such as off-center strikes, die cracks, repunch mint marks, and double die characteristics, though rare, can significantly increase the coin's value and appeal among advanced collectors. The copper composition also adds an interesting modern dimension to the 1956 cent, as fluctuations in copper prices have at times pushed the intrinsic metal value close to or above the coin's face value, though melting cents remains illegal under U.S. law. Culturally and emotionally, the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny evokes nostalgia, reminding collectors and historians of a simpler era when coinage was deeply tied to craftsmanship and national identity, and today it remains a popular entry point for beginners building wheat penny collections while also holding respected status among seasoned numismatists who appreciate its historical context, artistic consistency, and role in the long narrative of American coinage, making the 1956 United States 1-cent coin not merely a small copper piece, but a lasting witness to American history, economy, and everyday life during one of the most defining decades of the 20th century. The 1951 United States of America 1-cent coin, commonly known as the 1951 Lincoln Wheat Cent, is an important and fascinating issue in American numismatic history, representing the early Cold War era, post-World War II economic stabilization, and the continuation of one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. as this coin belongs to the famous Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birth anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure, and by 1951 the Lincoln cent had already become a deeply familiar object in everyday American life, used by millions of citizens for daily commerce, newspaper purchases, candy, public transport, and small transactions, with the obverse of the 1951 cent featuring Victor David Brenner's iconic right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, showing sharp classical lines, Lincoln's dignified expression, and carefully modeled hair and facial details that reflect Brenner's artistic skill, while the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," appear along the top rim. Liberty is placed to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date, 1951, appears to the right, with the mint mark, if any, located just below the date, where a plain date indicates the Philadelphia Mint, a D indicates the Denver Mint, and an S indicates the San Francisco Mint, all three of which struck Lincoln cents in 1951, making it a year with multiple mint varieties that are highly studied by collectors, while the reverse of the coin continues the classic wheat ears design used from 1909 until 1958, featuring two stylized wheat stalks framing the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the national motto, E Pluribus Unum, arched across the top, symbolizing unity and agricultural prosperity, a particularly meaningful design in a nation that had recently emerged from wartime rationing and was experiencing rapid industrial growth alongside strong agricultural production. The 1951 Lincoln cent was composed primarily of 95% copper with 5% zinc, returning fully to the traditional bronze alloy after the experimental steel cents of 1943 and the transitional brass issues of 1944-1946, and this copper composition gives the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color, which can range from bright red in uncirculated condition to red-brown or chocolate brown in circulated examples, with the coin weighing approximately 3.11 grams, measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and having a plain edge, specifications that had become standardized and widely recognized by the American public. In terms of mintages, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 102,825,1951 cents, the Denver Mint struck about 625,355,000 coins, making the 1951 D one of the higher mintage issues of the wheat cent series, and the San Francisco Mint produced around 136,010,000 coins, meaning that overall hundreds of millions of 1951 cents entered circulation, reflecting the growing population, expanding economy, and increased demand for small denomination coinage during the early 1950s, which also explains why most 1951 cents are relatively common today in circulated grades, though high-grade uncirculated and fully read examples remain desirable and increasingly scarce. Historically, the year 1951 sits at a crucial point in American history, during the presidency of Harry S. Truman, at a time when the Korean War was ongoing. The Cold War tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were intensifying, and domestic life was marked by industrial expansion, suburban growth, and rising consumer culture, all of which form the broader social and political backdrop against which the 1951 penny circulated, passing through countless hands and silently witnessing everyday American life, from factory workers' wages to children's allowances. From a numismatic perspective, the 1951 Lincoln cent is known for generally strong strikes, especially from the Denver Mint, though some Philadelphia and San Francisco issues may show softer details. In Lincoln's hair are the wheat lines, and collectors carefully examine the coin for die varieties, including repunched mint marks, RPMs, minor double dies, and die cracks, though no major double die obverse variety comparable to famous issues like the 1955 double die exists for 1951. Making dramatic errors rare but minor varieties still collectible. Condition plays a critical role in determining value, as heavily circulated 1951 cents are typically worth only a small premium over face value, while uncirculated examples graded Mississippi 63, Mississippi 64, are higher by professional grading services command significantly higher prices, especially those retaining full original red luster. As copper coins are particularly sensitive to environmental damage, oxidation, and improper storage, which means truly pristine examples become scarcer with each passing decade. The cultural significance of the 1951 penny also lies in its role as part of the final decade of the wheat cent design, which would be replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, making all late-date wheat cents, including the 1951 issue, especially meaningful to collectors who specialize in completing wheat cent albums or studying the evolution of American coinage design, metallurgy, and minting technology. Today, the 1951 United States 1-cent coin remains a tangible link to mid-20th century America, valued not only for its copper content or collector interest but also for its historical resonance, artistic heritage, and role in everyday life during a transformative era, making it an essential piece for numismatists, historians, and enthusiasts who seek to understand how even the smallest denomination coin can reflect the economic conditions, artistic priorities, and national identity of its time.